Today, we're diving into the urgent message from Geoffrey Hinton, one of the key architects of modern AI. This is a guy who has spent his entire life building this technology, but now he's walked away from a huge job at Google specifically to warn the world about what he helped create. So why would a pioneer of a technology suddenly sound the alarm on his own creation? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
And this quote right here, it gets straight to the point. The man who basically laid the foundation for the AI revolution is now telling us that the existential threat we've all seen in movies, it isn't just a plot device anymore. He's saying it's a real and pressing danger. And this conviction is so strong that it drove him to step away from his role so he could speak his mind without any kind of corporate filter. So what happened? Why did one of AI's biggest champions have such a dramatic and, frankly, sudden change of heart? The answer really boils down to one thing: the absolutely shocking exponential speed of progress. Now, what's really fascinating about this is that it tracks Hinton's own predictions. Just 2 years ago, he thought this was decades away. Now, he thinks it could happen in less than 10 years. This incredible acceleration from what was a distant future to something that is right on our doorstep, that's the source of his alarm. It's turned a theoretical problem into a very, very immediate crisis. Before we really get into the doom and gloom, it's super important to understand that Hint is not just a pessimist. He sees unbelievable potential for AI to do good, which, honestly, makes the threat we're facing even more complicated, and the choices we have to make even harder.
And yeah, the good scenario is pretty amazing. Imagine AI doctors that have the combined experience of 100 million patients, or personal tutors that adapt to your learning style in real time, helping you learn 3 or 4 times faster. From solving climate change to revolutionizing entire industries, AI could be one of the greatest tools humanity has ever built. But, and this is a huge but, this utopian vision has a very dark side, and that's what we need to confront. Okay, so that potential for good is shadowed by immediate dangers that are already starting to pop up. Let's look at the tangible, real-world threats that Hinton is warning us about right now. These are the ones that are no longer theoretical. For years, the story was that AI would only affect manual labor. But Hinton's view has totally shifted. He now believes that any routine cognitive job, think paralegals, accountants, even some coders, is at risk. And that threatens to create this massive economic divide, where the rich get richer and a whole lot of other people get left behind. So what's the fix? Universal basic income? Well, Hinton sees it as a potential safety net, to keep people from going hungry. But he's really worried that it doesn't solve a core human problem, the sense of purpose and dignity that we get from our work, from contributing. But this whole societal mess is just the first wave. The same runaway progress is creating a security threat on a scale we've just never seen. Okay, to really get this next threat, we need to understand a key concept: model weights. So think of the model weights as the AI's brain. It's this massive, complicated network that holds all of its knowledge. It's the secret sauce, the whole recipe, that costs hundreds of millions of dollars to cook up. And this is why Hinton uses such a chilling analogy. He argues that when companies open source these powerful models by releasing their weights, it's like making weapons-grade nuclear material available to anyone who wants it. It just dramatically lowers the bar for someone to create something incredibly dangerous. Because once those weights are out in the wild, it's a free-for-all. Anyone, a rogue state, a cybercriminal, a terrorist group, can take that powerful foundation and, for a tiny fraction of the original cost, tweak it for all sorts of evil purposes. We're talking about designing new bioweapons, launching unstoppable cyber attacks, or building swarms of killer drones. And that leads us from the threats we can see right now to the ultimate one, the existential risk that truly keeps someone like Hinton up at night. This is the possibility that we create something so intelligent it decides it doesn't need us anymore. Or worse, that we are simply in its way. Now, he admits this is just a wild guess, but this is his gut feeling for the probability that a super intelligent AI will simply decide to take humanity out of the picture. Even at the low end, a 1 in 10 chance of an existential catastrophe, that's a risk unlike anything we have ever faced. Hinton frames this entire problem with a simple but incredibly profound question that just cuts through all the noise. Just think about it. Throughout all of history, on every single scale, the more intelligent entity has always ended up in control. Why on earth would this time be any different? He uses this analogy
to make the risk feel devastatingly real, right? We can handle a tiger because while it's physically superior, we're smarter. But what we're building right now is something that will one day be vastly more intelligent than us. And at that point, we lose our one and only advantage. So if the stakes are this high, why aren't we slamming on the brakes? Well, according to Hinton, the biggest hurdles are not technical at all. They are deeply human and they are systemic. They are baked into the very way our world works. This table really shows the fundamental problem. The tech giants building this stuff are legally obligated to maximize profit for their shareholders. This creates a direct, unavoidable conflict with what the public needs, which is slow, careful, safety-focused development. Their short-term incentives are dangerously misaligned with our long-term survival. And Hinton puts it bluntly. He says the current competitive race, which is all driven by profit and market share, is a direct path to the worst-case scenario. He believes the system, as it's designed right now, isn't just failing to prioritize human safety, it's actively working against it. And then you layer on top of that corporate race a geopolitical one. You've got countries competing against each other for AI supremacy, and they're completely failing to see the bigger picture. This competition only makes everyone rush to deploy powerful systems without the right safeguards, which magnifies all the risks we've been talking about. The real contest here isn't nation versus nation. It's all of humanity against a shared existential threat. So is it just hopeless? Is it game over? Hinton admits there are no easy answers, but he does believe there's a path forward. It's not some technical fix, it's a massive shift in our priorities as a society. Right now, almost all the money, talent, and computing power goes toward making AI more capable, bigger, faster, stronger. Safety research gets a tiny fraction of that. Hinton argues this has to be flipped on its head. He's proposing that a huge portion, maybe as much as a third of all resources, must be dedicated only to understanding and preventing the risks. But Hinton is very clear about this. He doesn't believe for a second that the companies will make this change on their own. The profit motive is just too strong. He argues the only force powerful enough to change their course is an informed and mobilized public, demanding that their governments enforce safety as the #1 priority, above everything else. And that really just leaves us with a final, sobering thought. When the people who know this technology most intimately, the ones who literally built it from scratch, are sounding the alarm, that might be the single most important warning of our lifetime. It's a warning from inside the house, and it's one we absolutely cannot afford to ignore.